The opinions expressed on the radio program by the host, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Yes. It's your boy DJ Rudd, the most interesting DJ in the world. That's my tagline. Listen, today we got a special feel good TP Square show. It's a really feel good, really feel good moment because we got a special VIP guest that's gonna be chatting with us for a minute live on the air. I've been waiting a long time for this moment. I'm so super proud and happy to have Anna East, the attorney, aka my very own daughter. This is a big moment. What's up, TP Square?
Ain't nothing to it. We here to make it do what it do. You know what we do.
All right. Introduce yourself.
Just another day in the neighborhood.
Tell the people who you are.
Hi, everyone. Besides, being Mr. Rudd's daughter, my name is Anna East Holland Rudd, and I'm here to talk to my dad about all of the questions he has to ask me, particularly about being a lawyer, but whatever other questions he wants to throw in there.
Wow. See, she said Mr. Rudd. She trying to show me some love. Now, a prophet is never a prophet in his own home. So I'm outside the home, so I guess I'm Mr. Rudd. At home, I'm just nobody. I'm the guy.
At home is daddy.
I'm that daddy. Just take the garbage out, right? I'm that guy. Well, anyway, listen. We just gonna chop it up. I'm gonna actually let you, do what you do. I do got a few questions, and I don't want you to think you're talking to your dad. You're talking to millions of people that's gonna see this. So you answering their questions. I'm just the vehicle. I'm probably gonna ask a lot of the same questions that they would ask if they were here in the room with us.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, anybody any family, friends of the station, friends of Feel Good, friends of TP, anybody want to chime in during this correspondence, you can reach us at 888-304-4401. I'm gonna say it slow because my listeners are special and they want to know how to reach. So it's 888-304-4401. If you want to call, say hi, we here live on GenesisRadio.com. So I guess first what the audience would like to know, where did this journey begin?
I think it began and this sounds so like corny and cliche, but I think it began when I was watching Law and Order when I was like 7, 8 years old. So my mom loves Law and Order and she likes SVU too. And I always felt like I can do what they're doing. Now, granted, now they're like, I'm actually an attorney. I'm like, oh, they actually shouldn't be doing like, all the things that they're doing. Like, obviously I'm like, oh, this is malpractice. But I always just felt like I could do what I was watching on television. And I honestly, I have been somewhat like a passionate person in general. Like I always have something to say or felt like I had to speak up for myself or for somebody else in like some shape or form. So that I guess like my personality tacked on with like the TV shows that I was watching. I think that's what kind of inspired me to do it. I've always been attracted to like things that are like powerful. And I think like in general, whether you practice law or not, you have a really big influence once you just have the attorney title. Like once you put Esquire behind your name, it's like everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone assumes you're smart. Everyone assumes that you know what you're doing. And like I used to be like that before I started practicing. But just like, oh, you're a lawyer. Like, can I ask you a question? Oh, you're a lawyer, so you can help me do this. And I like that title and like the prestige that comes with it.
I hear you. Well, you earned that. But even taking it back before your attorney journey, tell the people where you from. Where you born and raised?
I was raised in Valley Stream. We did live in Queens for like my first 9 years. We lived in South Jamaica, Queens, and then we moved to Valley Stream, and that's where I like spent my life for the most part.
All right. So where'd you start school? Tell us about your schooling.
Like you mean like from the beginning?
I mean, if you leave somebody out, they're gonna be offended.
Like
I'm
what?
just
Like,
telling you now.
like when I was in
hold on.
pre-K, I went to David
I
Grayson.
gotta jump in here right quick.
All right.
I'm gonna take it back to her South Jamaica Queens days, right? She walked in here talking about, you asked, do she remember me, right? She's talking about, no, she don't remember me, right? But she forgot when Mr. Softy came through 142nd Street, right? And she was outside there, right? And we was in the yard, right? And you was at work where we was at, and I would come through. I would always make sure you got Mr. Softy, you know? And Tanya would be like, who got Mr. Softy for you?
Did she do that?
It was me. You know your mother was mean, right?
My mom's not. Mom is not mean.
All right.
Mom is passionate.
Okay.
And moms don't play. While
Okay.
her daughter.
Moms don't play.
Nope.
But I was the guy that brought Mr. Softy, all right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that right there. We South Jamaica Queens Day. But go ahead, carry on.
Yeah,
I
I
just had to
forgot
do that.
about all that. But
I just had to remind her about that. I was the guy that brought Mr. Softy.
she don't remember that. She just knows she got some ice cream.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
But I guess like from the beginning, where did I go to school? I went to David Grayson Christian Academy on Eastern Parkway. That doesn't exist anymore.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we hot. We coming in hot. Hold on.
Okay. You know what to do.
Genesis Radio, you live on the air. How can we help you?
Rosalind Rudd.
Rosalind, what's up? How you doing?
Hi. How are you?
I'm
How
good.
you doing?
Calls coming in hot early, huh?
Okay. There it is.
All right. Talk to us. What you trying to say today?
I'm trying to say I'm very proud of the accomplishment.
Phone interrupted.
Because you picked it up.
Okay. I should have picked it up.
Ain't need you to pick it up.
Okay.
She don't come back.
She got called back.
All right.
What was I saying? Then I went to Catholic school when I lived in Queens, and then I went to Memorial Junior High School, Valley Stream Central High School, and then undergrad. I actually
Just hit speaker, leave the phone there.
All right. Hold on. I'm sorry, Roz. You got cut off. Go ahead. Continue.
No, that's it. I was mainly just reaching out to say
Hey.
hey.
that is Bubbles, aka Anna East's favorite niece, or one of her favorite nieces, I guess. I don't want to start no trouble, but low key, you're her favorite. Low key, you're her favorite.
My favorite aunt. She's my favorite, one of my favorite nieces. I'm the favorite aunt.
Okay, that's what I meant.
There you go.
All right, so since you're the favorite, we'll be expecting a nice little something under the tree in a couple of days. Tell her, Anna East.
Whatever's in your heart.
I got you.
All right, we appreciate the call and thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, shout out to my sis Roz. Later, Roz, love you.
Later. Love you.
All right, go ahead, Bob. This is gonna happen all day. I just
No,
want
it's
you to know.
okay.
Go ahead.
I actually went to CW Post my first year of college, and then I transferred to Baruch College, and that's where I graduated. And then I graduated from Loyola University Chicago in 2018.
Copy that. So, where did you think? Let's just say before we go there, since you mentioned mom, I gotta say shout out to, I'm gonna say Miss Tanya. Since you say I'm Mr. Rudd, shout out to Miss Tanya. I'm gonna keep it like that because honestly, she was a super mom. You know what I mean? She made sure you stayed on top of everything.
Yeah, she was about her business.
And I want you to
Salute
speak
to
on that
Tanya.
a little bit as far as how your mom influenced you and your upbringing.
So even to this day, I hope she's listening now, but my mom's my best friend, but she also didn't accept like any mediocrity from me at all. Like, you're not getting a bad test grade. You're not like, gym was honestly my worst class, and it sounds so stupid, right? But like but even though like it's funny, but like even if it didn't count towards my GPA, it wasn't like, well, why you get A's in every other class, why you don't have an A in this class? So my mom just never accepted like anything but like excellence from me. Like, she always told me, and she still does, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Like, even to this day, my mom will text me like, Bubbles, you're beautiful. You can do it. You'll get through this, whatever you need to do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I do. And like, I think she's always like my backbone in everything that I And I always know like just her being really proud of me always made me feel like I can do anything I wanted to do. So whether it was like an oratorical contest or like I was on a step team or like whatever award I might have won, like I know that like hearing my mother's voice behind me, I'm like, okay, yeah, my mom said I could do it, so I know I could do it. But yeah, she always like encouraged me to do everything. Like I never felt like I had an option to not go to college. Like I was gonna go regardless. Same thing with law school. Like even though like the law school process was like very honestly like emotional and exhausting for me, I always knew like my mom was like, no, you'll get into whatever school you want to get into. So I never felt like I could not do anything. And you know, other things too growing up. Like when I came home from school, like I had to be home by like 4:00. I remember like some of the kids, like they were out and they didn't come home till later. No, my mom didn't play that. Like when you come home, you sit at the table and you do your homework. And like even to this day, when I was in law school or like even how I like practice, like I'm gonna make sure I do my work because I know like if I'm gonna leave the house at a certain time, like I'll be outside like at a bar and I'm like, oh snap, I gotta file this motion. And I got to do on Monday. Like, should I have done more work? And I still have that mentality because my mom, she didn't play. Like, you're gonna the homework's gonna be turned on time. The book report's gonna be done on time. You're gonna get straight A's. Even if I got straight A's, and you know, I got like a bad comment that said like, you know, socializing towards teachers and peers. Even though I got an A, it's still like, well, you know, this comment needs to change. So I never felt like I could never accept mediocrity from myself or what I thought was mediocrity for myself because my mother didn't accept that from me. And I had that same mentality in college, in law school, and till this day. And I think like that was a habit that she instilled with me. Moms don't play, but you know, I really appreciate, not saying that she was hard on me, but I really do appreciate her making me understand that like as this Black woman trying to enter whatever profession I'm in, you need to be disciplined and you need to give it all you got at all times. And even when I do
stock.
Yeah, even when I get exhausted, I'm like, I'll call my mom and be like, Mom, I'm having a hard time today. And she'll be like, you got this, Bubbles. Like, even if you got to take a break, turn off your phone, do whatever you got to do. Like, when you took the bar, you didn't talk to nobody. She's like, if you got to do this right now and don't talk to nobody, you know you're going to get through it. And I'll be like, Ma, I did it.
Now, we had some soft conversations about you know, stuff like that. And you actually just told me this recently. Like, if you came home with a 70, your mom was not signing that report card.
Nope.
She was like, that's not me. I'm not signing that.
Nope.
So
that's what I'm saying. Like, and like, I had, like, for the most part, I had pretty good grades, but I'm like, okay, like, this is an 80 instead of a 90. Like, is she going to be proud of me? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I never could accept, like, anything less from myself because I'm like, my mom always told me I can do anything that I want to do. So why can't I get straight A's? Like, why can't I get this award? Like, why can't I graduate law school? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I could never, like, the idea of me, like, even till this day, the idea of me not being able to do something, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't even tolerate that for myself. Like, I'll be like, Anise, who you talking to? Or I say Bubbles, like, Bubbles, who you talking to? Like, you know, you got this already. And like, even to this day, like, even if I call my mom and she knows, like, I don't have to tell her something's wrong, but like, sometimes she can hear it in my voice, but she be like, Bubbles, you got this. You got this. And honestly, I feel like I do. And it's not like me being arrogant, it's being confident, because I often feel like, I think not just the legal profession, but I feel like in general, and a lot of my other friends who are attorneys and other Black, you know, professional women, I think for some reason it feels like the world is always trying to humble us. Like it's just like they expect some sort of humility that other counterparts that don't look like us don't have. But we're supposed to be humble when we know what we're doing. Not saying I can do every single thing, but if I really know for a fact, like, no, this is the facts of this, like, I'm 100% sure, like, I get questioned extra than, like, a colleague of mine. And I've noticed that. And I'm just like, I don't understand that.
I hear you.
Yeah, like, I don't understand that because I'm like, I've never tolerated, like, less than from myself. Like, I don't really speak on things passionately if I don't know what I'm talking about. I always have the facts if I'm really, like, concerned about something. So I think that was something that, I think my mom, that goes back to like, my mother told me, like, you can do anything you want. And I stand on that. Like, I can do anything I want. Like, I could try a case. I can work at a firm. I can do this at the government. I can't, like, why do I feel like I can't do anything? And I've always been able to do this. It might take a little bit of time sometimes, right? But I eventually, like, I'll get there. So I never felt like I can't do anything.
That's a good copy. Look, man, I feel like I'm about to cry on this show. Like, I'm like so super proud of you, man. You don't even understand, man. I'm busting in my cheeks over here, man. I'm telling you, don't bang on the table. I'm going to bang on the table right now.
There you go.
TP, what's up, man? Talk to us, man.
Hey, man, you know, we all proud of her, man. You know, every step of the way. She don't even know we was all right there riding with you, rooting for you, you know. We was all up in your business. You know what I mean? Right there, like, yeah, Rod, she gonna do it, man. You know what I mean? And when you graduated from law school, man, we all jumped up and cheered and danced the jig for you. You know what I mean? And we was all proud of Tanya too, because we know that she was the driving force behind you right there. Rod was riding shotgun. And
yeah, I was the one
was
that
all
when she called me, be like, "Mommy, getting on my nerves." But her best friend was Mommy. She called her Mommy on
No,
everything.
I'm telling you, no, my mother, no. I call my listen, me and my mother, we can talk, we can have a whole interview. No, I'm serious because I'm like, you know, I'm gonna call my mom. My dad know, like, I'm gonna call my mother.
I already know.
Like, it'll be an emergency. Like, well, did you call my mom?
Mhm.
I already
Yeah,
know.
we know.
Hey, TP, I'm gonna go off script because I just thought of something that's gonna put total clarity on what she's saying.
Mm,
You know what I'm about to say?
I don't know if I want to talk about that.
What I'm talking about.
I don't know.
I'm talking about our trip downtown Brooklyn.
Which one?
The one that we got off the train at the wrong stop.
Oh, let me no. Let me tell you something. So this guy, because you know what? I was so mad. Okay, so like we went downtown Brooklyn, right? And then the parking garage lost my father's keys. So then he was like, the guy was hysterical. He was apologetic, whatever. So we took the Long Island Railroad. We got off at the wrong stop. And this lady's like, oh, you just jump in a car. And I'm like, I'm not getting in a car. And my dad was like, no, Bubbles, it's fine. I'm like, hold on, mother. Like, I'm not getting in a car with this random. Granted, like nothing happened. I was younger, but I was like, I don't know. Like, and you know, it's a dangerous world we live in for me to be jumping in cars with strangers. Like, I was never about that life. So I'm like, and it's such a funny story now, but I was so mad.
No, it wasn't funny then.
I was so mad. As soon as we got, I'm like, Mom. Because I'm like, you could call my mother. My mother would have came and got me. Somebody would have came and got me. We could have took it. Well, they didn't have Uber. They didn't have Uber. But either way, I was just like, who is this? Like, she's like, yeah, just hop in the car. And I'm like, she eavesdropping. Like, how we know, like, she not gonna crash into a gas station? I was freaking out. But it's so funny now that I think about it. But I was like, what, like 12 or 13? I was so mad.
I told Bubbles, I said she should be more afraid to put a man in the car, you know, than vice versa. Like I wasn't too much worried about the lady. She was just a nice lady. She saw us standing out there like with you like a damsel in distress. Like she saw we was stressed out. We got off the wrong stop. You know what I mean?
And you know what? At now, and what we're going in 2024, you could never get me to do it. I would call Uber so quick, you could never. Because I'd be like, it's, you know, every time you go on like social media, you see something crazy happening. I could never do that now. But back then, you know, I didn't have a choice. But you know, Daddy, this, you know, I'd be calling an Uber. Because this is, that's so funny. That story is so funny.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of stories for y'all today. We got
so funny.
We're gonna get back on script because speaking of trips though, without you realizing it, stuff like that, I want you to tell them about how you got to Chicago and how you felt on that trip.
Oh, so
and what you had with you, everything. Tell them the whole little story. I think it's the motivational part of your journey.
So my mom made me like a bowl of food of chicken. Mm-hmm. And I had like 2 big suitcases. I had a book bag. I had this Tory Burch tote that was like ripping at that point. And I sat on a bus for 18 hours because it was just the most like cost efficient, and it just seemed like it was the best thing to do at the time, which is funny because on the way here, we were talking about like, I'm not getting in a car for more than like 4 or 5 hours. And I sat on a bus for 18 hours and I Ubered from the bus station to the hotel I stayed at for like 2 days and then I moved in. But it just made the most sense at the time. It was the most cost efficient. It's the most cost efficient because no one in their right mind besides me at the time was going to get on a bus to Chicago. Like by the time we got there was like 3 people on the bus and one of the person who I was traveling with. So I would never do that again. But yeah, the journey was really difficult. Like I think in law school, like emotionally, like I was always like drained and I had a lot of anxiety. And I think like even on a bus ride there, I'm like, am I really going to school now? Is it really happening? Am I really? And you know, when you sit on a bus for 18 hours, you have a long time to reflect on like, am I really about to start this journey? Like I'm really not about to go outside for the next 3 years. And even though like at times you made time to go out, but like the first year was really rough and like I didn't have my family there. But just sitting on that bus ride, like I think honestly that was the best decision that I made to actually go out there. I feel like that bus ride, it built character.
That's what I'm saying. But without realizing it, you was already groomed for that journey. You just didn't realize it. But even from a parent's perspective, from a family perspective, or from a support system perspective, how you think we felt? We had anxiety. We were stressed out too. Our bubbles go to Chicago, and we don't really, even though we got a long reach, we don't know a lot of people out there. You didn't know anybody out there. It was a big step. And in our opinion, there's a lot of good law schools that was a lot closer than that. There was a lot of good law schools in New York, and a lot closer to Chicago. But I understand why you chose that school, and I think it just worked out the best it could work out.
Yeah, I didn't run it. I don't think I ran it about anyone that I was applying. I don't think I ran it about anyone that I was moving on a bus. I just felt like it was something I needed to do for myself. But also some of the schools in New York didn't offer any money, and Loyola did help a little bit. So I thought it was, I don't know. I just needed when you just feel like you need a change. I just needed a change. Now, granted, I moved right back, but.
But just know that if you ever ring the alarm, Pookie knew some people in Chicago.
Yeah, it would be like, woo, woo.
But it was honestly, Chicago's, I think it was a good city. Even my friends from Loyola, I still keep in contact with them. I was texting one of my friends on the way here. So I think it was a really good decision. I have a lot of my friends, obviously, they still live there. And then I have friends that live in California now. Because so it's funny because everyone who went to Loyola, everyone from New York and California, we all went back home. But people from Chicago, they never leave their city. They have they have a real loyalty to the city, and none of them left. But I wanted to, it wasn't, I enjoyed my experience there, but it just never felt like home for me.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was so inspiring, and you were motivating people that you didn't even know. You have people cheering for you that you never met. Same thing is happening today. We still,
Yeah.
Every little gray hair, these gray hairs, I had a gray hair on every step you took. When I found out about your what do you call it? Your affiliations, your sorority journey, stuff like that. Everything that you did, for me, it was a gray hair. It was a gray hair.
But I think after a while,
we knew you was built for that.
I think after a while, you just kind of I don't know. I pray a lot, so I think I just I think it got to a point where I think things just have to make sense to me, and I think sometimes when you feel like it's the right, when you just listen to God, you just feel like, okay, I think I could step forward now. I think I made the right decision. If I could go back, I would still go to Loyola. I would not move on a bus though. I would not. I think that's the one thing that I would not do differently. But I literally sat on the bus. I had 2 big water bottles and a bowl of food, and I just sat there and I was like, okay, I hope this food lasts for 17 hours. And I didn't really sleep on the bus either because it was so uncomfortable.
That's crazy.
I didn't have a neck pillow.
That's crazy.
It's little stuff like that. I'm I can't believe I did that. Because you can't get me to go nowhere for more than 4 hours.
I know.
It's so funny. You can't get me to go nowhere.
My service engine came on when I was driving here. She's like, oh, I'll make a call. Somebody coming to get me. You gonna be out here by yourself. Because
I'm are we about to? I'm Daddy, I don't want to get stuck in the woods. I don't. Because especially since you're talking about that experience when we almost got stuck on the Long Island Railroad in Brooklyn. No, I don't want. I do not want to. I don't like getting stuck places. I need to know.
That's your version. I never felt stuck in that situation. I never felt stuck. I understand your anxiety, but I knew I wasn't stuck.
Man, first time
we had a lot of options.
As soon as I sit in the room, I'm looking at where's the exit? Is there more than one? Just in case.
First of all, it was only a difference from Rosedale and Laurelton stop. Either one, that's my hood. We was not stuck. We had a lot of options, but the lady offered it up. So I said, why am I gonna make a call of distress when it already worked itself out?
That's so funny. I forgot about that story. I was so mad. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's a good story though, but you got a lot of little stories like that. I like to say, let's shift it to what's going on now in the recent Honor East attorney journey.
So I spent about 7 months at a law firm, and I got really good experience as far as civil litigation experience. My background, is criminal prosecution. I did that for 3 years. And then when I went to the second firm, a lot of those skills are very transferable as far as like investigating some of the allegations that were made against the client at that time. So I found that like, even though I wasn't a prosecutor anymore, a lot of the things that I did, I still felt like I was still not at the DA's office, but I still felt like I'm still using those skills. This position was like complete civil litigation. I would say it was predominantly writing. And one of the reasons that like attracted me to that last position is I personally feel like to be a very good lawyer, you have to be good at everything, whether it's things you don't like or you do like. And not saying that I don't enjoy writing, but no one thinks they're actually going to be writing like oppositions and motions every single day. So I would say like 90% of my job was motion practice. And I think that I got good experience, but I'm in a space now where I need to chase my dream and like the niche that I need to develop. And I don't think that civil litigation is going to be my niche, at least in the type of work that I was doing. I was doing a lot of mortgage. It was a financial service litigation group, but it was mostly mortgage foreclosure work. So I got really good experience, but at the same time, like I'm still a young attorney. I've been practicing for 5 years. I consider that a baby attorney. So I'm at a space where I need to put myself in positions where I'm going to be doing either criminal or investigative work. So my next job, which I'm not going to tell y'all this yet, but my next job is more aligned with my dream. And I'm also not going back until January 16th. So my last day was this past Monday. And I've never like voluntarily took a month off of work before. So my head has been like very clear this week. I'm like, when do you ever just get to sit in the house and do nothing? Now I'm probably going to go out, obviously, but like I'm enjoying the option to just sit at home. Like people ask me, like, what are you going to do for a month? Like, why do I have to do anything?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the universe is working how it's supposed to work. I mean, I went to join the gym yesterday. I'm not gonna say where, but I just went to join the gym, and the guy showed me around. He said, "Let me show you the facility." I'm walking through the facility, and lo and behold, my twin walks out of the cycling class. I'm like, she's like, "Daddy, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And then we just hugged each other, and I'm like. She said, this is her first time there. I'm like, well, this is my first time there. I said, well, I guess I'm joining this gym. And, you know, I'm glad that you're going to have a little free time to debrief and regroup. And, you know, your health is your wealth. That's part of it, too. You know, you gotta stay physically, mentally, spiritually connected. And what I was going to tell you before I went into that, I was going to say, like, you being the oldest of my children, you inspired your sister, little Kenny. Shout out to little Kenny, because I'm not sure if she'd have went as far as she would have, but you kind of set the bar high. You know what I mean? Like you was on her, you was communicating with her, you was like, do this, do that. You still communicating with her now, but you know, she's grown. She don't have to listen now, but you still advising, you know.
I think the bar has to be high for Black women, period. Like I'll be honest, like I'm not saying that like, you know, for women in general, but like I'm a Black woman first. And I firmly believe like I don't care if you're a social worker, therapist, lawyer, secretary, paralegal, whatever it may be, like I think the bar has to be high. Period. Like you're always going to be looked at differently. I can't name one Black woman that will disagree with what I'm saying at all.
All right. So you and I have had some conversations, and you know, I did 20 years at a job, and you was like, Daddy, our generation, we don't move like that. Like we on a different time. You know, could you explain the energy of your generation versus like me and your mom? We just city workers. You know what I mean? It seems like everybody I meet now is on your type of energy. They talking entrepreneurs, so they talking bosses, they talking I'm moving on. If somebody don't say the right thing, I don't feel good here. It seems like it's a lot about energy in environments now. Like toxic environments, nobody wants to do it no more.
I think the biggest difference is your generation felt like you had to. I don't feel like I have to. Like, I don't feel like I went to college to sit at a job for 20, 30 years that I don't want to do. I think working for the city is a great job. To be honest, like there's city workers that make more than lawyers, right? Absolutely. Without any degree. But I just don't, this idea that like I have to suffer and just be really, really unhappy. Like you spend way too much time working to just dislike what you do that much. And I think that because of your generation being able to like put my generation through college and just kind of motivate us to go to college and to just, you know, just pursue other avenues that I don't think your generation was really aware of or felt that they had the opportunity to do so. So it's like, what was the point of my parents working this hard for me to sit at a job that I'm not really passionate about? Like, that's not why I'm here. Like, that's not what, like, to me, is if I've been motivated my whole life for someone to be like, you can do whatever you want to do, right? The sky's the limit. So why I'm gonna treat the sky like it is, like, you know, like I'm gonna treat it like that. Like, if I found a job and I'm like, you know what, I could do this for 20, 30 years. Like, I love what I do. I'm so passionate about it. Like, this is the end goal for me, then great. Cause I have friends that are going to do the same thing. But if you don't feel that way, like, I think you're just wasting so much time that you can never get back sitting at a job that doesn't make you happy, that you don't want to get up and go to work. You don't want to stay there. You don't like your coworker. Like, I just don't see the benefit to me personally.
I got a confession to make on air. I was afraid when you started studying martial arts. I was like, Bubbles is a fighter. She's gonna beat people up.
Oh my gosh. What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Because you always been like a fighter. You've been fighting for your whole life. You don't realize it. You fought for everything that you accomplished. I know this wasn't easy for you. You know, it's easy now. You did it. But you been a fighter, bros.
I just don't. But you know, the thing is too, is just like, to a certain extent, that's exhausting. So it's like, if I'm still like at a position that I'm like, I'm never gonna get like the experience that I need to be able to do the things that I want to do long term, then I don't see the benefit to me. It just has to be more to it than that. Now, granted, I know I can't like leave a job every day, and I wouldn't say anyone does that, but I know a lot of people, like, you know, they might do a year or two at a job and they leave because it's like, if they're not being treated well, or they don't feel like they're being treated well, or they don't feel like this is the right position for them, why are you staying there? Especially if you're not getting the experience that you need and you can get another job and like the opportunity is there and it's the right opportunity. Why not?
I get it. Because when I'm playing music, I don't feel like that's work. Even if I have to carry speakers, whatever, break my neck, that's not work. What we doing today, we at the radio station, this is what we love to do. We would do this for free.
But as you should.
My opinion is that of me, not of Gynesis Radio or sponsors. We still need y'all. But I'm just saying, if you're doing what you love, it's not work. You know, it don't feel like work.
But I've never felt like that's what I'm saying. Like, I've never felt like it wasn't work. So maybe I don't, to be honest, like, I can't say, like, I get the quote, right? Like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I've never felt like I haven't been working for the last 5 years. Not saying like, you know, I hated work, but I would like to feel what you just said, like, it doesn't feel like work to you. I would like
enjoying it, helping people and stuff like that.
I would like to feel that. So I think my next position is going to give me that, which I'm excited about. But I need to feel that. And I haven't felt it yet. And I know a lot of like young attorneys like myself, they haven't felt that either. Like, honestly, this is an ongoing conversation that I have all the time. With my friends leaving jobs, they switch this job did XYZ, or like they're not valued at this position, and then they leave. And especially when they're not getting the experience or you can get the experience and then take that experience someplace else. Or oftentimes I have friends, they took that experience and opened up their own shop. So I just think that our career trajectory, like, I think unfortunately, like, the older generation didn't feel like they could do what we do now. And we feel like, no, we can do it now. Like, the opportunity is here now. Like, we can do it. I mean, it's still difficult for Black people to do anything in general, in my opinion. And I stand on that opinion. But I think it's always like, I think entrepreneurship, like, you hear about it all the time. Like, what was it? This bank recently, like, they're denying, like, more Black people got denied a mortgage than anyone else. Like, these things are still existing. But even though these things are still existing, I still think that there is still more opportunity and options to do other things. So that's what I want to do. Other things, I don't know what I'll be doing in 10 years, but I think for right now, I'm just trying to be like more realistic with myself, and being that I'm not working for this month, it provides a lot of clarity for me.
Did the pandemic affect your career path or your decision in your career path, or you think this was your path regardless if the pandemic happened or not?
Oh, I was always gonna be a lawyer regardless, right? I didn't want to. I wasn't gonna like stop practicing law, but the pandemic, it just made me feel like, wow, life is really short. Like literally, you turned on the television and it was like 900 people died today, 800 people died today, 600, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, the world didn't feel like a real place, especially New York City. So I think that kind of put a lot of things in perspective for a lot of people, and not just young people, but people in general. Like, are we really just wasting a lot of time? Because when you're sitting in a house for a year, right? Because to me, I mean, honestly, I was in the house. I know people were saying we could go outside, but I was inside still. So when you're talking about like when you're just really like people were forced to sit inside in their thoughts. So now you're sitting inside in your thoughts. Like, what are you thinking about? Is this what you want to do when you can come back outside? And for a lot of people, it was no. We still in the pandemic, by the way, to me, but
That's a copy. Hold on. Gynesis Radio, you live on the air.
Hey, this is DJ Jersey.
DJ Jersey, what's good, my guy? How you feeling, man?
How are you? I just wanted to make a comment. This is an epic show because I think that just listening in the small bit, salute to your daughter. Congratulations on all you've achieved. And having worked with your dad, I just wanted to say that it's exciting and very enthusiastic to see the family unit talking about, what it takes to get there, how it, how those influences result in success and achievement. So that was the only comment I wanted to make. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you. And by the way, Honor East, them two, they are Rattlers. They both are FAMU graduates.
oh, okay.
That's right. Go Rattlers. Thanks a lot, yo, Darren. That means a lot, man. I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you, and thank you, brother.
I had to tell it. Thank you, guys.
All right, later. Yo, that was man, that's our guy Darren. He's part of the Gynesis Radio Network. The show that I was showing you a snippet on the way up here, that was him. He was part of the financial literacy conversation. And what would you say to somebody, because this just happened? One of my friends called me up and said, hey, my daughter's thinking about becoming a lawyer. She haven't done anything yet. She's just preparing to take the LSAT next year. General advice to a person like that, or do you actually need to know the person and tailor something to them, or could you give a blanket advice of the journey?
Well, I spoke to her yesterday, and I actually think she is doing something. I think like even preparing for the test, like even getting there mentally, I think that's a big step in general. But I would say you just kind of have to study in the method that makes the most sense to you. I would say practice in time conditions. That's how I feel you should practice in any exam, whether I was in law school, studying for the bar, like I did everything in time conditions. But I think, giving yourself the time to really study. Like, I think oftentimes we rush ourselves, and I did the same thing. Like, I thought I was going to law school right after I graduated, and I didn't. So I think me taking the year off to study more for the test and like really prepare myself and make sure like I was the best applicant possible, I think that's more important than rushing to just take the test. Like, I would say everyone, like, unless you get like a perfect score, why don't you take it twice? Like, what's the harm in it? If your score's not going down, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't need to rush everything. I felt like I needed to go right away. And at first I was disappointed in myself that I didn't go right after college, but I went a year later. So I don't feel like I accomplished less. I think taking that time to study, and then I also worked, because law school applications are expensive. Like, I think sometimes people, I say this all the time, I think people just take the actual, they don't really understand the nature of the cost of things. Like, these applications, from what I remember, they were like $100 an application. So you want to apply to 10 schools, that's $1,000 right there. And a lot of students, particularly of color, they don't have that type of money to apply for these schools. So I think just sitting there, taking your time, like going to these law school fairs, they give you waivers for applications. I got a bunch of them and I applied. I use them. I'm like getting to know the people in the admissions office. Go visit the school if you can. I just don't understand what the rush is.
Well, that was 2 gray hairs for your parents. No parent wants to hear about a year off.
But why?
I'm just saying, we get nervous because a lot of kids don't go back after they get a job and they start making a little money. they get a taste of that money and they don't want to go back to school sometimes.
But then maybe it's not for them. Like,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes, like, I think if you're working and you enjoy what you do, and you're making good money and you're happy, then you don't have to go to school. Like, that's any degree. But I don't. What I'm saying is, like, law schools aren't shutting down at the same time. Like, all these hundreds of schools across the country, they're going to be there in 2024 and 2025 and in 2026. And they were there in 2015 and 2014 when I was applying. So
But
it's just not. You don't
I
have
want
to
to say
wait.
one thing to all these youngsters listening. College, no matter where you go, law school, no matter what it is, it's real important. And I'm gonna say this because I didn't think it was real important to be a part of a fraternity or any of those things when I was at FAM. I was a New Yorker. I didn't need that stuff. It wasn't important to me. I went down to Tallahassee with my New York attitude. Didn't think all that stuff was important. But now today, the relationships that I made with people at FAM, and I didn't join none of those fraternities. Had I joined those fraternities, I think my life would be better today had I made those connections. So those connections that you make in college is real important. So I would suggest that anybody that graduate from high school, go to college and make some of those connections because they're real important.
I think so too. I mean, I know people who did both. Like, they went to the city, maybe they started a business, they went to real estate, they got an MBA, MSW. I probably know someone at like every degree possible at this point. But I think that I always thought of it as somewhat transactional. I didn't dorm in college, but I do feel like the connection that you make is important, but also like it needs to make the most sense, right? And I think like me, like staying home and then going to law school, that made the most sense, especially like when you're looking at, you know, the amount of, whether I got a scholarship or not, a partial scholarship, not a full one, but whether I got a partial scholarship or not, all of that, like, I think sometimes we take away the cost. So it's like, why can't we stay at CUNY and make the same connections? Like, Baruch is a great school. To be honest, I think all the CUNYs are a good school. And whether you go to a top school or not, I think they're just, you kind of make your own experience. And I think oftentimes, like, people get discouraged about that. So, like, okay, so you didn't go away, so now you have to stay home. What's wrong with that? Especially, like, in New York City, like, the sky's the limit here. Everyone wants to work here. And, like, in every profession, and as even entrepreneurs, like, everyone wants to set up shop here. Everyone wants to storefront here. Everyone wants to work here. Like, this is the market. Even though New York City is expensive, the salary that you command in New York City is way different than you could command in like Arkansas or someplace, right? So I just think that like you just kind of have to make your experience and just learn how to work a room. At times I can be shy. I used to network a lot more when I was, I don't want to say younger because I'm so young, but like a couple of years ago, I think it was more enjoyable for me. Yeah, it was more enjoyable for me. But I think it's like, if it's something that you can't enjoy or you don't like to do, it's just like, so treat it transactionally. Like, okay, I need to do this for XYZ reasons. And I think sometimes we're just taking that part of it out. Like, yeah, it's a great experience, but then now what? Like, did the friends you make, like, are they in the field that you want to work in? Like, you need to find somebody to like really help you out. And that's something that I found. So like a lot of people who I feel like are my mentors, like I have a really good friendship with them now as well. But that also took some time to just find somebody that I can be myself with. Like, I can talk to them casually and professionally. So also I think that's important, like talking, like finding a mentor that you can really like vibe with, because I don't want to be in lawyer mode when I'm talking to somebody for advice. Now, other people are not like that, so I'm not going to speak for everyone, but like the way that like I text my friends who helped me in law school is way different than I text like a coworker. I think you need somebody that you could be real with when you build these connections.
Statement. You know what, I would say this, TP, that was some good advice that you would give to people. Another thing is, I would say, don't take advice from somebody who you don't want to be like. Like, we take advice, a lot of advice that we got. We had friends that's lawyers while you were going through your journey, and I heard every kind of advice. But you had to make a decision what was best for you, because if we would have took some of the advice that we heard, even though it was good advice, it might not have been good for you. And I'm going to give you an example. I asked one of my lawyer friends, when you were at the beginning stage, and we started finding out how much school was, and they start talking $60,000 a year and all this stuff. I was like, what's your advice to my daughter? And her answer was, it depends on what your daughter wants to do. If she wants to do, political science or social service type of work, she could go to Lehman and accomplish that. But now, what if she did that and took a lower standard of education, and then she comes out of school at 25? She didn't like her first initial job so much, and she had to move on. So now, if you just had a lower standard of education, your options are less. It's like certain schools, you know, you go to this school and that school, that's kind of like graduating the top 5% of your class. You're more in demand.
I'll be honest, like, no one can tell me, I don't care what school you went to, I'll be in the same job as you. Like, that's just how I feel, period. Like I don't feel like, I think some people go to school for the name, and I understand, like, and you know, there are, I guess, like certain recruiters or firms or organizations, agencies, whatever it may be, that are targeting certain schools. But I've worked in the same places that these people went to. So I don't feel like that's the end all, like, that's not the end all be all. I think you, at a certain point, you have to make your own experience and your own connections and just let your work kind of speak for itself. And like, I didn't go to Harvard. I went to Loyola. I love Loyola. I think Loyola is a great school, but I don't feel like because this person went to Harvard or another tier 1 school that we'll never work together ever. I don't feel that, and I still don't.
Okay, well, that's good.
It might be a little harder, like it's not as easier because, like, maybe depending on the school you went to, they care about your grades more versus if you went to a tier 1 school, like a B is equal to a B in a tier 1 school is equal to maybe an A at like a tier 2 or a tier 3 school. But I still think that whether it may take you longer, like I think if you really want to get there, you're going to get there regardless. At least that's what I'm saying. Like, no one can tell me I'm not going to work in a place I want to work at. It's just not happening. Like, it might not be today. It might be tomorrow. I do not, like, I already have my mind made up that it's going to work out. So I don't have my mind made up like the timeline is going to work out, but in my mind, I already know it's going to work out. So I don't even let that word come out my mouth that I can't do something.
Yeah, that's understood. Nope. I appreciate that. At one point, I remember your mom and I was talking about sending you on a college tour. That's when you was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go on that tour?
I don't think so.
I know that your sister went on it too. I thought you went on it too. And you didn't go on like a HBC to different schools?
No, but I remember my mother, like, we drove to see some schools, but I don't remember. I don't think, I'm going to say no because I don't think so. I think I would remember that.
I do remember
but
driving
I did
to
go,
a few schools.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
But you didn't take that bus trip?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right. Because I think that helped your sister's decision, and I think that's why she ended up at Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
She actually, her first choice was Hampton, I think, right?
It's been so long.
I think her first choice was Hampton, but Hampton was like the new Howard at that point. That was the new party school.
Man.
I think
we didn't really want
but people party at every college. People party at every college.
Certain schools are famous for.
I think if you go on any campus, I'm serious. If you go on any campus, somebody is gonna say the same thing. I just think it depends on what you make of it. Like, are you gonna stay inside or not? Like, for example, when I was studying for my LSAT, no one saw me, and I used to go out. I used to run around the city all the time, but then it's like, okay, I gotta study now, so I'm just not gonna talk to anyone. Like, when I moved back from Chicago, I didn't tell anyone. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't tell anyone I moved. I think like some people like a year later, like, oh, you moved back. I'm like, yeah, I didn't tell nobody. I didn't post it on Instagram. I didn't say, hey, back in New York. I didn't do any of that. I'm like, I need to study for the bar, and I don't want no one texting me like, hey, you want to come out? Hey, how are you? I don't want anyone like knowing that I'm here. And a lot of people probably didn't know that I was here until I finished taking the bar.
All I'm gonna say there's different levels of partying. There's like a Diddy level of party. Like we went to the Howard homecoming, and I'm looking over, like hanging over the roof, and I'm seeing like 2,000 people doing an electric slide in unison. You don't see that at every school.
No, you don't.
What I mean?
But I
it's a different level of partying and energy at certain places.
Yeah, I do, but I still think like you got to figure out. Like, I think after a certain point, like you're grown, so you got to make that decision. Like, are you gonna do what you need to do, or are you gonna do what you don't need to do? And that's this choice that people got to stand on.
Man, you know what? Everybody think Howard was all that, man. The heck with Howard. Howard wasn't all that, man.
It's so funny.
You know, but everybody think Howard was the place to be, man. Howard was not the place to be, man. It's so many people who didn't make it that went to Howard, you know, who didn't complete the school because it was so much hype around it. You know what I mean? Howard should be the last place people go. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Howard has seen better days.
Do we need to play that disclaimer again?
You know what I mean? No. Listen, I'm telling the truth.
I don't have an opinion. I was Baruch.
I'm telling the truth, man. I'm telling the truth. Everybody go to Howard because they want to party and bullshit. You know what I'm saying? All the people that's serious about school, you know, you got something that's gonna go there and succeed. But trust me, you're gonna have more people who don't graduate that go to Howard. You're gonna have more graduates from FAM than you're gonna have at Howard. And
Wow.
and that's just the way it is. And you're gonna have more graduates from Hampton than you have from Howard. You know what I mean? Years ago, Howard was the place to be, but today it's not. It's just not. Look at the numbers, man.
Report on that.
Look at the numbers, man.
Look, the numbers
The
don't
numbers
lie,
don't
man.
lie. Look at the numbers, man.
The numbers don't lie. So
You know what? And look, Darren's a numbers man. Ask Darren.
all right, I'm gonna call my man Darren.
When next time you talk to Darren, ask Darren.
We're gonna definitely have that
If he's listening,
conversation.
he might pull back.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah. Everybody talk about Howard. The heck with Howard, man.
So, Bubs, how do you feel about social media? How is it affecting law? How is it affecting it? Because a lot of people are forming opinions off of what's in the media and stuff like that. A lot of people are guilty before they even stepped in the courtroom. Because the media already crucified them.
I mean, people are gonna have an opinion. I think that I think people still have those opinions, and now we just read about millions of opinions that we don't know. I think people still, like, for example, right, if I have an opinion on something, like, it's not hard for me to go on Instagram and find someone who thinks just like me. They just decided to talk about it on the platform. I don't really remember life before social media that much, so I don't know how, like, I don't know how, like, the legal profession has changed from that time period to now. However, I do think that it's a key marketing tool. Lawyers that I know personally, lawyers that I have worked with, they do use it to either speak about a case, to maybe post an interview, like how we're live right now. Like I'm gonna save this and post it later, right?
Right.
Or I think they use it as a marketing tool. Like if you got an acquittal, like they might talk about that on social media. If you did a live interview of some sort, you're gonna post that on your social media. So I think like it just brings awareness, because oftentimes like people are using Instagram and Facebook more than they're using Google, right? So I think like it's just a key tool depending on the route that you want to go in your career. But I think everyone uses social. Like, every single business, like you have social media, right? Like every single business, they just use it now for a marketing tool. Like people care about how many followers you have, how many people follow you, who are the people that follow you, are these real people, are they bots, like what are the comments saying? Like I think like it's just an added resource now.
It's funny. Now we normally promote our shows, and when our guests are coming, I didn't promote this show. Like I wanted this to be totally unscripted. You know, we don't have a question and answer sheet. I wanted it to be organic. You know what I mean?
And then yesterday we were talking about it. I was like, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
No, you was like, you know, I'm gonna be prepared. I'm gonna.
Because you know what? No, but like honestly, like I'm naturally like that. Like I weigh the pros and cons of situations. Like, am I going outside today? Do I feel like spending money today? Okay, if I spend money today, is the toll this? Is this amount of money? Who's like I weigh pros and cons of every single thing, like naturally. And then sometimes I'm like, well, what is this person gonna ask me? What do I think they're not gonna ask me? Do I need to tell them not to ask me something? I just naturally think like that. So in my mind, I was prepared. Like, okay, I know that I don't know everything you're gonna ask me, but I know like there are gonna be certain key questions. Oh, that's my mom.
Gynesis Radio, you live on the air.
Is that Miss Tanya?
I would like to ask a question.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well.
What's the question?
At the end of the day, when you completed everything that you could learn and everything that you want to do, what is your ultimate goal? What's your end goal?
I think in 10 years, I would like to be working for myself. Like, I don't want the law to be everything that I do. Like, I think there are lawyers who I know personally, like they have a real estate company, or they have a roofing company, or they own a club, or they own it. Like, I don't want my only source of income to be practicing law. And I would like to get to a point where I can be like, you know what, I can step away from working for someone. But maybe that's not the goal. I don't know yet. I mean, ideally, yes. But even if I do work for someone, still, whether it's the government, because I think I'm going to like my new job a lot, I would still like to have other avenues of like income that are really established, that I'm at the point where I'm working because I like this job, not because I have to pay bills.
Understood.
That's what my end goal is. You have any more questions for me, Mom? Hello?
Oh, she's listening to the radio. Turn the radio down so we can hear you.
She ear hustling
I'm
herself.
on the phone. I don't have the radio
Oh. Hey, Tanya, one thing they didn't give you credit for today, you kept her fly. You taught her how to dress. You know what I mean? You told her when she come outside, look fly. And she's still doing that today. She was in her closet. She's like, oh, my mom's been like these shoes right here.
Yes,
She's like, I'm getting dressed. One thing, I'm going to be dressed just like my mom. She was shouting you out this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I like the radio station, so enjoy.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks for calling in, man. We love you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mom.
Wow. Now that was super duper big time. Your mom's called up while
My mom is always gonna
while
be.
you on the radio.
My mom is always gonna be there.
She had two phones playing. All I hear is the echoing in the back, like she turned up right now. Mom is turned up right now. Well, what do you think? We're gonna take it back to the music for a minute. You want to tell us about some of your what's your vibe today with the energy and where the music is at? I know you listen to some old school stuff. I'm not gonna play you and tell them who you grew up listening to, you know, because you was grouping at one point on a few artists. But
how do I feel about the music?
yeah, where's
I don't
music
like
at?
it.
You don't like where it's at today?
No, I'm just like, why are people so violent? Like, it's just always something. And then oftentimes you see these song lyrics being used at trial. So I think people need to watch what they say. Now, I think you can be like creative and you should be able to have a creative space and say whatever you want to say. However, at the same token, it's like, I don't want to listen to shoot 'em up 24/7. Like, so sometimes I just be playing R&B because I'm like, I just don't want to. And I do like rap music. And you know, I like rap music. But sometimes I'm like, I can't go to work listening to this. It's gonna kill my mood for the day. I'm serious. Like I might play like Victoria Monet in the morning just to like ease
Right.
I'm like, I can't listen to it. It's just so, and sometimes it's just really, really raunchy. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. And I don't relate to it. So I'm like, sometimes it's just too much for me. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Okay. Listen, TP,
Yes, sir.
what you doing over there, man?
I'm just air hustling.
I know
man.
you're
I'm
monitoring the analytics and
That's right.
you pushing the buttons.
That's right. That's what I'm over here doing, man. Pushing buttons.
Man, all right. So they trying to get your 5-year plan out of you. But I see you ain't really telling everybody all your secrets yet. You ain't gonna let the cat out the bag.
Keep
yet.
it close to the vest.
Keeping it close to the vest. You know, this is not gonna be your last time here. So let's tell people where they can see you at. Tell them your social media or whatever you want to put out there.
So you can follow me at Anna East, the attorney, on Instagram.
That's ANAIS.
Oh yeah,
The attorney.
Anna East, the attorney, at ANAIS, the attorney, at Instagram.
And listen, just for the message, she does speaking engagements. You know what I mean? She does speaking engagements. And actually, where was your first speaking engagement?
I don't remember.
You don't remember the first one?
Oh, she doing that many, huh?
Because you was excited. You was.
I just don't remember because every year I speak at schools. Maybe Black History Month at Baruch College. I think I'm at a school. I really don't remember. That's awful. I just don't remember.
You was excited. You was like, I want to do more. I want to.
I think it was. I do the Black History Month, the Black Leaders in Law panel every year. So I believe that was it. I don't remember the year. It might have been maybe 2019. I think I don't remember. But I like speaking to kids. I like speaking to prospective law students. I like speaking in general. I think everyone has a story to tell. It just takes a while to figure out what your story is and like how to make it resonate with people. So I would like to be able to. So I think that's something I would like to do on the side eventually. Like I would enjoy speaking, and like maybe it's like somebody flies me out the state to speak one day. I would love that. So hopefully that comes full circle in the next 5 years. But all the other things that I have planned for myself, no, we're not gonna. Because sometimes I think when you talk about it, it's like I think sometimes you just gotta sit quiet and like just pray on it. And that's the space that I am in with certain things. And honestly, I don't know because I change my mind so much. So I can answer you today, and then you ask me tomorrow, I'll be like, oh, Dad, actually, I think I might want to do X, Y, Z. So I think I'm like running a bunch of ideas through my head right now, and I've been talking to some people. So I think, this month that I'm taking off these 4 weeks, I think that I'll add some clarity to what that looks like. But I know in the next 10 years, I could say for certain, like I would like to, if I am still working, which I, maybe I am, if I am still working, I want to do it because like, oh, I really enjoy this job. But I would like to also have like other streams of income. So I'm not like, I'm just working for this is to do something. Like this is not even my primary source of income at that point. That's what I would like to do.
Understood, man. I mean, Bubbles, you had a village around you. You had the pastor, which he also had a journey with Laura. You had my father. My father finds out a lot of stuff before me. You was close to your grandparents. You know what I mean? You was tapped in with them, man. You was tapped in with your grandmother. Your grandmother was like your biggest supporter, in my opinion. Rest in peace. You had everybody rooting for you, man. From your brother Tay, from Sean, you got Auntie. These people was with you from birth, and they was rooting for you the whole time. And the other side of the family, same thing. Everybody was rooting for you. It's like it's a pressure. It was a lot of pressure on you because when you have nothing and no support system and nothing, people expect you to fail. But when you have a support system in place and you have a mom and a dad and all this stuff, it's pressure like not to fail.
So you know what? I would say this, especially, and I'm gonna speak on my mom again. Like my mom never made me feel pressured. She always made me feel supported. So I wouldn't say it's a pressure. I think if I ever felt pressured, it was just me being pressure on myself. Like I'm just used to having 1,000 things to do all the time. But I never felt like someone made me feel like I have to do this. It was always like, I feel supported, so I can take the pressure off myself at any time. But I think sometimes there's a pressure like to succeed in general, especially when you're a person of color in a profession that 2% of women are black women are attorneys. So I think there's a pressure in that sense because it's like I can walk. Like the last couple of court appearances I went to, I was the only black person in the room, and I'm not even including court staff. Like there like the reporter, the legal secretary, the court, like the officers in the court, the judges, the other attorneys. It was literally just me, and sometimes I'm the only woman in there on top of that. So that I think sometimes I do feel pressured, or like is somebody expecting me not to speak in the same manner in which a colleague is speaking, whether or not I have the same amount of experience as them. So I think that type of pressure. But I feel like my family is very supportive. All the people you just named, like I can call them about anything at any time, and they'll always give me either like a pep talk or just, Anna, you can do whatever you want to do. And I still feel that way. I can do whatever I want to do. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it like all today, but I do feel that way. So I wouldn't say pressure, but also you don't know who's like watching you as far as like younger people. So I wouldn't say that pressure, but like I wouldn't want to fail because you never know who's watching you, and oftentimes you find out who's watching you. Like it's you find out someone's watching you, and it's someone oftentimes that you least expected. Like you don't really know who you're influencing until they tell you that you made an influence on their life. But I wouldn't say my family made me feel pressure. Like I always felt like my mom was everyone, you too. I always felt like everyone was just proud of me, and just I always felt like it was a support. And I can call my grandfather anytime, and I can just pray on the phone like, Poppy, can we pray real quick? And he'd be like, of course. Bubbles, like, let's do it. So I think that I always had I think I always had the support I needed. And honestly, like I feel like family is resourceful. So if they'll find somebody for me to talk to if they don't know what to say. There's always somebody to talk to.
You can ask any of my close friends.
There's always somebody.
My hat at work had your picture inside my hat. Whenever I got weak and I couldn't continue, I would pull my hat out, I look at your picture, and I have to remind myself, this is why I'm doing this craziness.
And you also got to remember too, like, I mean, to the professional world and like people who didn't grow up with me, I'm Anna East, but like to my family and my friends, like I'm Bubbles. So like I feel like
you ain't nobody.
Like I'm just Bubbles. Like I feel like I'm at home. Like I like I'm gonna go to like if I'm having a bad day.
Take the garbage out. Get the kitchen. Get the dishes clean.
No, it's just like I can talk about. I can talk about my about. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm like I know if like I want to go home, like I'm just go home and I need to talk. I'm just like the door's always open. I can always just go home. Like I'm coming over Sunday. You make some food. Like I always. So I don't feel like my family pressured me. I think like everyone's just so proud of me, and I think that makes the not less frustrating, but I think it makes the journey just. I know there's a point I can relax and I know who I can speak to. So that's why when I lived in Chicago, it was so difficult because there's been often times, and like, I don't know if my mom knows this, but like, there's been times like I was frustrated about something and I necessarily want to talk about it, but like, hey, I'm gonna come over on Sunday. And that was like my outlet, whether she knew that or not. But when I was in law school, I didn't have that. Like, I can't just jump on a plane every week and come home and just sit in my room and just, or sit with the dog and just relax. So but that wasn't, I wouldn't say that was pressure. It was just like, this is stressful. Like, what did I get myself into? Like, you know?
Well, look, I think we should round out segment 1 of this conversation. I'd like to go around the room with the closing remarks for this segment. I'll start with TP. TP, what's your closing remarks, man?
Hey, what's my closing remark? You can never give up. And it's a beautiful thing to see a successful young Black woman in the field of law who knows what she wants and where she's going. And she's writing her own ticket. I love it.
All right, well, I'm gonna just close out by saying I'm excited. I'm super proud. I love you, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for you, man. Just keep up the good work, man. And if I drop the flag one day, I expect you just pick up the flag and keep moving forward. Now, that's real.
She did that already.
Yeah, I didn't drop it yet though.
She took it from me.
Oh, she took it from you.
She took it.
Ah,
Took
man, that part. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Took it.
All right, so make your closing remark, and we close this segment out.
Honestly, I'm just happy to be here. I really do like speaking, whether it's like in front of people or just like talking to people about just my experiences in general. And I do like to influence people. It would be nice to know like who I'm influencing. It would be nice, somebody's gonna, shoot me a DM or something if this episode had any influence on you. But I enjoyed this, and I'm glad we did this like super organically, because in my mind that I was like, can I give you a list of questions and we can do it like this? But I don't want to be that type of attorney that just seems so polished they're unapproachable. So I feel like this also like was going to like my personality too. And I'm really happy to be here. This is so cool. I've never like sat with a microphone and like headphones.
So you know what that
and
means,
like
right?
there's like 6 cameras here. Like my dad had to point it out. He was like, there's a camera here, camera here. I'm like, wait, I'm being watched like that? Like
So you know about the
Yeah, we
bubble
done
show.
started something. It's gonna be the bubble show. Right?
Yeah.
Well, look, let's go back to our regularly scheduled program. Once again, Honor Easton Attorney on Instagram, live at GenesisRadio.com. Thank you so much, man.
You got it.
Yes, proud of you.
So can people still hear me? Like